Well, hey, you kind of teased it there, so let's get to it, Shane. Georgia. When you're on a losing lock streak, it's just go back to old reliable Georgia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It don't matter if they're on the road, don't matter if they're on the playing at home. It don't matter. They're so damn good. They go on the road against an Auburn team that had hell. They surprised both of us, I think, this year. Yet no issue, 34-10. You're playing your backup quarterback Stetson Bennett, and he was by no means flawless. I almost fell out of my chair, Shane, when the CBS analyst, I think it was Kevin Carter, said, well, hell, when JT Daniels come back, I don't even know. I think you got to keep Stetson in there. I mean, I'm seeing Stetson. He's not costing you the game, but there's wide open touchdowns. He's basically keeping you from getting in the end zone because he's throwing it so far behind. So, there's a – and I'm not trying to sit here and pick apart Stetson because I think he's in a tough spot, yet he's coming here and he's engineered Georgia still to be red hot. Hell, they just whooped up on Arkansas. Now they've whooped up on Auburn. So – it's not against him, but we've seen the ceiling with with Stetson, and the ceiling is a lot higher with the healthy JT Daniels. So I just thought that was the most ridiculous thing I heard all weekend. But once again, we didn't quite get the Bo Nix we got against old LSU. A lot of that had to do with Auburn and their receivers. Man, they could not catch the damn ball to save their lives in this one, but. I think a lot of that had to do with Georgia and this defense. I mean, Tank Bigsby scored a touchdown, and that was about it for Auburn's offense. I mean, I think that just kind of says it all, man. When the opposing team scores on you, and it's like, we got to note that. It was like a 5-yard touchdown run because that was the first rushing touchdown Georgia surrendered all season. I mean, this defense was just incredible. Anytime there's a tip ball or anything like that, you got guys flying around, and I don't know. I'm just continue to be amazed by this defense. They don't take a week off, do they?
No, they don't, man. And we were constantly reminded of this during the game. So if you're an Auburn fan, you probably heard this a million times, but Georgia's got a pretty good defense. and like you said, it was they had stats put up there saying it's been 91 hours since Georgia released a touchdown or some shit like that. They just had stupid stats like that, but they're just acknowledging what we all know, and that's that this Georgia defense is the best that has ever hit the field in the time that I can remember. I don't know about you, Mike. I've seen some pretty impressive defenses, but what these guys are able to do, they have got a chokehold on the SEC. Anyone they go against, when you're looking at teams that are – the one stat that I did like is where they were showing what these programs are their average score – other than a Georgia game. And they're like 20s and the 30s, and that's what they're on average scoring every single week. But then when they play Georgia, it's 3, it's 7, it's 10. That's just these guys. Sometimes they'll let you get some yards, but when it comes crunch time, when it gets into the red zone, they do not let you score. So the fact, like you said, that Tank was able to get in 5 yards out, it was big news because they just don't allow it. Hell, they got injuries, Mike, and this team is 2-3 deep in every position. It's just unreal how fresh this defense remains and how solid they are. So Auburn had to play a flawless game, and I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that we had some crucial drops. And I want to say a little bit about the defense. The defense of Auburn, I thought, did great. I think the fact that it was a 34 game, yeah, did you let a few get over your head? Absolutely, and that was, they probably like to have those back, but They were in this game for a little bit, man. They had opportunities to get that momentum. The crowd wanted to celebrate. You could feel it in there, and they just kept letting little things slip by them, letting just stupid boneheaded mistakes, and Georgia just capitalized. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with Bennett. I don't know how many times I'm going to say nail, but damn Bennett, he'd throw it 10 yards shallow, but there's just these guys are so wide open.
I mean, it seemed like the game plan for Auburn's defense was, we're going to make your third or fourth receiver beat us. And that's why a guy like Ladd McConkey who has, 5 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. And I know Georgia media high on him, and he's a young guy, but more often than not, if Ladd McConkey, if that's who you're going to use to beat us, I think most SEC teams is going to live with that. Because the fact is, Georgia's got so many damn weapons that they can scheme up plays for receivers like that. And hell, we saw Darnell Washington. He still doesn't look like he's 100%, but my goodness, Shane, when they start getting him involved, it just makes him that much more dangerous. George Pickens did not play in the game, but he traveled, so he's getting closer to seeing the field. But yeah, I know what you're saying, because I really seem like Auburn's defense, they really did give it like an all-out effort here, but yet Georgia still racked up 200 yards rushing. But it seemed like they limited them, if it makes sense.
I know, that's what I mean? That's exactly what, and that's what got him in trouble. I mean, Georgia was averaging 4 or 5 yards a carry, and what got him in trouble is they started sneaking up, and every time, man, you talk about a deadly play action game. That's Georgia Bulldogs. That's why they were able to get these guys wide open, just because they were playing to the run. They did a good job. I thought Auburn tried to make they tried to do what Georgia did. And Georgia's so good at making you one-dimensional. You look at the running game, I mean, that's Auburn's strong suit. You got one of the best running backs in the country, and they just shut them down. And then you make Bo Nix win a game. That's exactly what they wanted you to do. But that's exactly what Auburn was really trying, man. They were just trying to shut that running game, loading the box. And the guys, I mean, say what you want about McConkey and all them, but when it came crunch time and they needed to make a big play, they did it.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking back to that the targeting you mentioned, Shane. That was Smoke Monday. Man, I don't know what it is. We're seeing it all across college football, but it's really been hitting Auburn hard this year. That was the McLean and the Penn State game, too. We got to fix this damn thing where – I mean, hell, I don't even think that was a penalty, what Smoke did. In all my life watching football, that's not a penalty. So I don't know why it is now. And even if it is, clearly we cannot have that being an ejection. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that killed Auburn in this one.
I think Auburn is going to be the school that changes this rule. Just because, like you said, you look at the Penn State one. I mean, the guy said, what was I supposed to do? Let him score. Literally, that's what you were supposed to do. Let him score a touchdown so you wouldn't get a flag. That's the dumbest thing ever. You look at Smoke. I mean, by the rules, yes, that was targeting, I guess you could say. But, I mean, ask yourself, you're a grown-ass adult. Does a kid need to sit out the entire game because of that hit? I have seen worse hits waist down that I think should be ejected, but no, this little hit, if give them the penalty, give them the 15 yards, don't penalize them. Could you imagine this thing being in the third quarter and now you got to sit out the first half of the next game? What are we doing here? It makes no sense to me. And that was big. Smoke's big. I mean, we're looking at some of these blown coverage passes. You think we would have a different outcome if Smoke Monday was sitting back there? Possibly.
Right, exactly. And that's why they need to change it.
You're talking about toughness with Stetson. Obviously, you took a shot there on the targeting, and I want to ask you about his play action fakes, how effective they are. It seems to be on the passing game today, especially.
Yeah, the play action shots. I thought Monken did a great job calling the game, tying the run game to the play action. And the play actions only work, if you got guys that can run and you got a run game that's working. So the better the run game is, obviously the play action shots work. And thought there were some very timely calls there to get some explosives, and a lot of young players stepped up. Look, I had no idea if you had told me we were coming into Auburn this year 6 months ago and we would have had Ladd and A.D. Mitchell, playing our X and Z. Who would have thought that? Worried about what? I didn't hear the end of that. Worried about
the injuries basically catching up to you if you don't get enough important guys back.
I really don't know what people should be. I know that for me as the coach, I'm not thinking about what everybody thinks about the injuries. I'm thinking about what we can do to get the players we have in the best place to be successful. That's what coaches do, right? They take what they have and what they have healthy and they go. These aren't injuries that are occurring because we're banging in practice. That's not the case. Some of these are soft tissue injuries. Jermaine's is a growing that affected him. I think started bothering him Tuesday and hey, it's just a cumulative effect at receiver. We've done less receiver work than ever because we lost 3 receivers in the transfer portal, you know, and it's like we got George down, then we got Dom down. And then what happens is the cumulative effect starts getting the other guys, and we've had to cut back. We track their yardages. We do everything we can to help them. But I'll say this, the ones that are healthy, they work hard, they compete, and I'm proud of the way that receiver room has responded.